What's a deep, dark secret you've never told anyone? I was really horny, but my family was around, so my solution was to go take a shower and choke the chicken in there. At the time I didn't have a phone case on my phone since my previous one broke. I was getting pretty close standing in the shower, so I went to set my phone in basket on top of the toilet where my wallet and stuff was, but instead I accidentally dropped my phone on the tile floor and the screen was completely shattered. I immediately realized I couldn't easily explain this to my dad, so my solution was to finish my shower and get dressed, then go to the basement stairs and slip down the stairs and get scratched up and let my phone fall. I then went upstairs with my bleeding knee and broken phone and say I fell down the stairs, and that it broke my phone. I immediately got sympathy from my family and didn't get in trouble. Nobody knows that I threw myself down the stairs and didn't just slip. I realize now that I probably could have just said I fell, but at the time I felt I had to actually do it. My wife has a ceramic mug that she uses all day every day to drink water. As long as I've known her, she's used the same mug. 5 years ago, shortly after we moved in together, I found the same mug on eBay. That replacement mug sits in a box at my office, just in case the day comes that I accidentally break the original. I blame myself for one of my best friends passing away. He lived across the country, but I stopped talking to him when we both delved way too far into hard drugs, and I blamed him for it secretly. A year later he was found dead, and the last time I saw him I was barred out on Xanax. I'll never forgive myself for that. I could and should have been there for him. When I was 13, someone in RuneScape was selling sex. I said how much and flashed her my newly acquired 32k I got from cow hides to buy a rune Simi J couldn't wild. We went upstairs in West Bank and she did a gesture to get near my crotch and went, You like this? I said, oh yeah, all smoothly. But here's the kicker, my 13-year-old self was thinking he was getting his first BJ. I was freaking the fuck out. Computer was in living room. Whole family in there. I remember my father shifting on the couch. I panicked. Said bye and noped the fuck out. Then googled how to clear browser history so family couldn't find the dirty shit I just did. Edit, I didn't pay up front. I panicked and dipped without paying for her services. When I was 15 I tried to kill myself. My parents were out of town for the weekend, and on that Saturday night I went into their medicine cabinet and took an ungodly amount of every pill in there. To this day I have no idea what I took, wrote out a long-drawn suicide note, locked my door and fell asleep on my bed. Sunday morning my parents came home much earlier than I expected. I had left a small desk lamp on in my room, and when my parents got home they tried to get into my room to turn off the light. I was obviously unresponsive, and my parents freaked out so much that my dad broke down the door to my room. My dad shook me awake, asking me a million questions angrily, like why was the door locked, why I wasn't responding, and what was wrong with me. I groggily lied and told them I was super tired and didn't feel good. They hesitantly believed me and left my room. When they left I grabbed the note and destroyed it. Went out into the living room and cried on my mom's shoulder for what felt like hours. When she asked me what was wrong I just told her I had a really bad weekend and nothing else. To this day my parents joke about how I sleep like the dead, not knowing how close I was to actual death. I have never told my parents what happened that weekend, or how they unknowingly saved my life. To this day I still own that little desk lamp that I left on that night, and turn it on whenever I'm feeling depressed as a reminder that all you need is a little light to get you through the darkest of times. This was 16 years ago next month. If anybody remembers the toy Sock 'em Boppers. Basically they're blow-up boxing gloves that are shaped kind of like lawnmower tires. They didn't need to strap or tie around your wrist to stay on, because at full inflation the hand insert was tight enough to snug your wrist. Well, one day I'm lying on the couch and my little brother decided to whack me in the side of the head with one when I wasn't paying attention. His fun was cut short, however. He immediately took off the bopper and lamented that it was wet inside the hand insert and that it stunk. Confused, he walked away. I had been using it for a pocket vagina. I was molested by my grandpa from about age 5 to 9. I never told my parents or friends, but did tell my therapist. I drunkly told my, also drunk, fiancé after about 2 weeks of dating, but he's never brought it back up. I don't think he remembers. I don't plan on telling him. As payback, my step-grandmother left me a diamond ring that just appraised for over $30,000 a year ago, among other jewelry that appraised for about $5,000. No one in the family understands why she left that to me, and I'm not saying a word. Edit, throw away, since my fiancé knows my usual Reddit account. I planned to commit suicide last summer on my birthday. I didn't, because I got pulled over and the RCMP officer was kind to me on my way to the mountains. Then I met two older couples on the hike I was going to do it on, and they invited me to hike with them, then took me out to dinner and bought me my meal and a drink because they said no one should be alone on their birthday. They unknowingly stopped me with their kindness. Edit, obligatory thank you for the gold. But also for all of the responses. I'm happy to still be here, not saying this year hasn't been one of the hardest years of my life, but just being around complete strangers on my birthday who genuinely cared about making my birthday a memorable one was enough to pull me back from the edge. Thank you so much for all of the comments. I mean it, I'm happy this was my first gold. Edit 2, I generally try to stay low-key on Reddit, but I'm so glad I posted my original story. I've had so many people reach out and let me know how happy they are for someone they have no real affiliation with. You, as a community of people, are awesome. Once again, thank you so much for your responses, replies, words of encouragement, and your own stories. I'm sorry I can't reply to all of them, but I've read all of them. The craziest being someone who remembers my response to their AskReddit question almost exactly a year ago about me planning to drive to the mountain and kill myself on my birthday. But they are all heartwarming. Keep being kind, and I'm glad this story could ignite that in so many internet strangers. I would probably never consider myself an atheist, but I certainly don't believe in many of the core tenets of my professed religion, and I have very serious doubts about most of the others. The biggest problem is I've come to these conclusions only after recently marrying my very conservatively religious wife, and taking a job at said religious institution as a minister. I'm in a bad place right now. Edit, thanks a lot to everyone who has commented with advice, philosophy, and consolation. I have read every comment up to this point, and it has honestly put me a bit at ease to hear from you all. I'm going to turn off my notifications, but I love all of the open discussion, so feel free to continue commenting. That I'm paranoid and that people are going to take me away. I'm too scared to tell anyone, because then they'll take me away somewhere. I regularly think about leaving without telling anyone and hiding somewhere. Edit, really wasn't expecting replies, I just kinda needed to put this in words because I couldn't tell anyone I person. But for everyone who's reading this, I'm a diagnosed schizophrenic. Every time I try to talk about what's going on, someone in my head tells me they'll take me away or outcast me if I tell anyone. I've had it since childhood, but I kept it a secret until I finally told my doctor a few months ago. Even then, I lie my ass off when I see them because I'm too scared of the outcome of telling them the truth. But I read the comments you guys left me and am going to speak with somebody on Wednesday, and this time I'm bringing my best friend who's been keeping notes of what I tell him so they can get the full story. Thanks for the support, you guys, made my day. At the Embarcadero BART station there used to be an elevator that went from the train platform up to the gates, but it opened outside the gates so you didn't need to swipe your card to exit the station. I used to buy a cheap fare in the East Bay where I was living, take the train into San Francisco and use the system to save myself $8 per day in commuting costs. I did this for years until finally a BART cop stopped me. I gave him my out-of-state driving license, which I also had illegally retained, said I was new to the city and didn't realize you had to be charged/exit out the gates. Somehow he believed me, but I never tried that ruse again, and from that point on paid full price. My girlfriend got extremely sick while we were sleeping next to each other. Like roll over off the bed and cover the floor in vomit sick. I don't have the stomachs for it and I started feeling sick as well, and before I could get out of the room I vomited all over her trash can. I immediately got out of the room and finished up in the restroom, and then her roommate's sister comes running in. She heard me bust out of the room and came to see what was happening. There was vomit everywhere, an unbelievable amount for a small girl, and it was everywhere. She got my girlfriend in the shower and asked me to watch her while she got to work cleaning up our mixed awfulness. It took her a while and my girlfriend threw up a few more times from what we found out was food poisoning. Eventually most of it was cleaned up and I put her back in bed, and I have not told a single person that it wasn't all her vomit, and I had in fact covered the other half of the room.